Vicky Linane and welcome to Embrace Therapy podcast. I am a practicing art therapist based in Ireland. In each episode, I will interview guests from various fields of therapy and well-being with the aim to encourage healing through embracing therapy. My guest this week is Heidi Morrison. She is an art therapist based in Kildare. She is now the secretary for IACAT and is co-founder of So Earth Projects, an emerging creative and eco-wellness retreat initiative based in Kildare. Heidi also is a visual artist, and we talk about her passion for the arts. I really hope you enjoy this episode. Here is Heidi Morrison.
So basically, with going back to working with clients, my the business that we're building, So Earth Projects. Yeah, it's nearly finished. So that's what I'm hoping next, to kind of invite people to work in that space. So that will be open then to be used as well. So so exciting. But like that, I suppose, I haven't been taking up new clients. I mean, I don't have a huge amount as it stands at the moment. The HSC work took a bit up on that, and they don't run groups anymore. So yeah, I've not really progressed with the amount of clients that I have, but yeah, so I will hopefully fill up the hours a little bit more and do a bit more work in that area. But to be honest, like, I've been painting quite a bit, so
tell us about that side of your life, because a lot of people, they do the work, they become art therapists, and they kind of drop the passion for the art because it's part of the work. But you most certainly haven't. So I'd love to know a little bit your creative process.
Okay, well, I suppose I started life out as, always being interested in the arts and art process, and, I suppose really appreciating the whole experience, but also the productive side of it. And obviously you get positive feedback when you produce something wonderful, so it was great for my own self-esteem as well, and it felt like it became part of my identity as well. And as then growing up through school, and then I decided in college, I'll take that route because it meant something to me. It connected with me, and that's where it started. And then over college, college time was a difficult time, I would say, really, because, you're thrown into an environment that I was certainly not used to. I mean, I don't actually have anybody in my family that would have gone that route. So for me, art college was really like Den of Lions, because I had no idea, so went into it open arms, discovered a lot about myself, but also about the creative process and how I felt about it. And I did actually, when I was doing some research on an essay that I had to do in college, I stumbled across one tiny little book, and the title of that book was Art Therapy, and I go, what is this?
Oh, brilliant.
And now I actually, during that time, I did once I looked at that book, I go, oh, I need some kind of work experience in this. So I actually got, I suppose, picked up the book, but also wanted to know more about the actual experience of it. So I had this opportunity actually of going and meeting an art therapist in Cardiff, in Heath Hospital in Cardiff. And I met up with him, and he showed me his amazing art room within the hospital. Now, I doubt that it's there still, but it was incredible. The space was just so, I suppose, reflective, peaceful. It was just so exciting, the things that you could kind of use and get involved with. And he talked about how they called them patients, not service users then, but and how they came in and they experienced and found themselves to I suppose enjoy the space, but also that kind of ability to express themselves without judgment. So there's a non-judgmental space. So all these things really impacted me. So not only that little book that led me to this this place where I really wanted to find out more yeah, the two things together made me realize, I suppose, that this is the route that I wanted to take. Even though in art college it was really, I suppose it was not really seen as a sexy kind of career or anything, it wasn't something that was I suppose had great accolation, within art college. Art college is all about, I suppose, um, you know, expressing yourself, of course, but the conceptual pieces were just so heavily academic. They were just focused on that individualized kind of process rather than something that could be actually used to help people. So yeah, I mean, that was a shame. That was encouraged. So I went my own route, really. And also, I didn't really know where to go. So long story short, I did have that in my heart, but I didn't know how to use it. So when I came to Ireland on an Erasmus scheme, I was actually studying in the UK at the time, and I went on a Erasmus scheme, and that was in Ireland, and NCAD. And in my last year of college, my third year of college, I actually met my now husband, and settled in Ireland, forgot everything about career, to be honest, just followed the heart, and ended up as a farmer's wife on a farm.
Got married. Farmer.
Yeah, got married. Yeah, had 4 kids, one after the other, pretty much. And then on my last, I realized, okay, I needed to do more about what my dream was. So I then decided to do a counselling course, actually, to start with, because I wasn't quite sure about the route or anything like this. I went to do a counselling course in PCI, then found myself down in Crawford at an interview, and that was terrifying. Didn't need to be, because people were lovely down there. It's just that I was terrified of the idea of doing an interview.
Oh.
And got through. Yeah, so the rest is history, to be honest. So I went and did that, and then after I qualified, I decided then to do another qualification to kind of, I suppose, kind of go further into it, and in my head a little bit more kind of theoretical depth that I felt I needed to practice for myself. And yeah, so that's what I did. I did the psychoanalytic psychotherapy for another 3 years. So that's my story. Yeah, that's my story. Yeah.
That was in Trinity, wasn't it? Was it?
That was in Trinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lovely to have
so
that experience in Trinity as well as NCA. Yeah,
exactly. It was an opportunity, rather. I mean, I felt very much that I just was so hungry for more theory, even though it was adequate what I had. I was just like, I felt, yeah, I wanted more flesh, I suppose, of theory, and that's what I got, and I was really, really delighted with what I got. Not that you can never get to the end of learning. My goodness, it's just continuous, and I realize how little that one does have in one's hands sometimes, but we do our best with it all that we have, so that's my story. Yeah, so that's long story short. Not really.
I just think it's incredible how you're just like, yeah, I had 4 kids back to back, yeah, and then just I'm just like, what, 4 kids?
Well,
they're wonderful kids. Like, just it's lovely to hear their kind of own experiences, life experiences, and connection with art and the farm, with the project that you're doing now, So Earth, and how it's such a family. I know, like, business is kind of the word you'd use, but business doesn't seem to fit. It's like it's so much more. But I think maybe we need to talk about that a little bit too. It's like, the whole idea of like, and how it came about to do this at home in the farm, and bring the work at home, because not everybody wants to do that. So I'd love to know, I suppose, what came about for you to kind of decide to use the farm for.
Well, there was a few things, I suppose, but one being that we had space. We had space to explore that idea. Farming as well, at the moment, and in this current I suppose time of life, diversity is really what they want. They want farmers to think other than just agricultural practice. So for both Steve and myself, we felt that yes, we wanted to go in a more, I suppose, diverse kind of direction rather than just selling cattle. Now, of course, cattle are close to my husband's heart, and yet environment is too. The environmental aspects, the biodiversity aspects, the care of our planet, the care of our earth, and he would say, very much that he would hope that his farming practices are ethical as they can be within also, obviously, we need to live, and we need to make this work. But he feels very strongly about his responsibility in it as a farmer, but also, as a caretaker of land. So, initially that's where we came with the idea of using this place as not only for my own, I suppose, initiative of using creative arts as a way of helping people, but also using what we have, which is already, our nature, our surroundings, and seeing that as a way of helping people as well, and helping our planet too, helping our land, produce what it needs to produce, and rewilding us, I suppose, ourselves, but also our environment. So the two things, nature and creativity, and working with those for wellness is really our emphasis and our goal. And we've been working on this for years. Thankfully, we had funding from LEADER to make this dream come true. So we're at very beginning stages, the very early stages of establishing that. And of course, COVID now coming in has kind of put a bit of a spanner in the process. Yeah. But we're very optimistic. We do feel that this is still very needed, and it's about making that doable and making that approachable for people when the time is, right for everyone to maybe meet, in this beautiful venue. It is beautiful. I mean, it has open spaces, and it's very, I suppose, durable in this climate as well, for people to come down and feel safe. So yeah, we hope to run groups. That's the idea. We hope to run groups for wellness. Now that could be with businesses or community groups, but also, obviously the actual clinical arts therapy will be, part of this business as well. So that, we called it So Earth, and the reason why we called it So Earth is because we believe in sowing the earth, bringing it back to nature. We believe in, that as a real, I suppose, a starting place, because the earth is, our support systems. Mm-hmm. And if we sow it, a lot can happen. And then also, obviously, from a therapeutic and, from a metaphoric kind of point of view, we need to actually sow our own self and nourish our own self. So our place hopefully will be a place where that can be done, a nourishing place where that can be done. And so we are the support system, hopefully, for people who come down and experience our programs and our therapy. So yeah, that's the concept, and I believe the concept really will grow and really develop, and that's what we really hope in time.
Absolutely will. It will be so organic, because the whole process has been, and I've been fortunate enough to be down there with you and to meet Steve, your husband, and get him to give me a bit of a tour as well. It's amazing. And even the part of where he decided to just close off parts of the land and let the wild take over, and just see that with the stream and everything. It's gorgeous. And of course you're giving back by planting thousands of trees and making your own forest, and the work you're doing is just
Thank
It's
you.
incredible.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's taken a step of risk, I suppose, you know, because of that whole thing. There's pressure for farmers to farm intensively. There are incentives now to, you know, as I say, diversify, but at the same time, you know, there is pressures by the community as well, often, that farmers should have bigger farms, more stock, you know, more intensive kind of regimes to get the meat flowing, if you like. But I think, you know, going, I suppose, stepping away from that takes a big deal, you know, to do that. And, you know, I can say that I'm pretty proud of, you know, those steps forward, I think, even though they seem backward for many, it's forward for us. You know, weeds are great. We love weeds, you know, we love all that. And bringing nature back is pretty much where it's at, and allowing it to be more, I suppose, holistic in the whole, you know, process, and, you know, and how we can be part of that, how we can enjoy it, how we can interact with that, and appreciate it and learn from it as well, you know, and integrate it into our lives. That's really our hope. Yeah.
And like, that's the thing that for me anyway, that really resonates about it all is the integration part, because, you know, just imagining the office columns that we all have sat in at some stage in our lives, you know, especially those that are working now as well, they might be working from home and they might not have gardens, they might not have access to the wild, the nature that they would have liked. And, you know, even at weekends, there might be other kind of things and commitments that they have that they can't go into nature. So like, just that idea of being like, well, no, my work appreciate me. You know, a lot of the time people get this opportunity in their work to go to places, you know, kind of team building kind of things. And that can be, again, in another building. But like the idea that somebody like that could come to you in your farm and in Soworth, and to do the holistic work there, like that healing, that, you know, it's so, even just being there is healing, you know, even, oh, absolutely. It's just like breathing in different air, like, you know, it's just, it's so good for us. But yeah, that integration part for sure. And then offering the art as well. And like, you know, like you have this amazing Instagram page as well, which is beautifully filled with images. And I suppose like, you know, you get a real taste of it through your Instagram, and the videos that you do. You kind of do tasters.
That's right. SOS projects. Yeah, Instagram. It's
Yeah.
and thankfully my son, and you indicate about my kids, you know, and they're all, you know, some of them are adults now, so but they're all very interested in the creative arts, and my son actually takes the photography part of the Instagram, so we're so fortunate to have him doing that, and he actually says, no mum, you can't do that. That's just too tacky, you know. So yeah, no, thankfully he can do that part. And, you know, also my other son, he's going into film, so yeah, he's also really interested in all that area, and drama as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on down here in Hartwell, you know. And yeah, so Studios is now nearly finished, and that is a beautiful space. It's, as I say, it's pretty open. It's got open spaces. It's got a group room, individual rooms, and hopefully with the individual rooms, we really hope to, you know, encourage people to use the space, to rent it, you know, for themselves and their own businesses, you know, to actually work with us. And that's what we really hope, you know, whether that be therapy kind of opportunities to use that room for therapy, or if they want to use it for other reasons, you know, the space is where it's at, and the connections, I suppose, with what we with our concept is where it's at, you know. So that's the story.
I think, you know, there's been a lot of writing and research done recently on like eco psychology, and you know, that what the effect it has on the body, connecting in with nature. So like, you know, you're offering not only the space, the studio space, but the land itself to kind of walk around in as well.
Totally,
There's endless opportunities really
yeah,
space.
yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, for yourself as well as a painter, to have the space, I'm sure it was a good muse for you, you know, to have that nature at your doorstep. Yeah.
Well, that's it. And as an artist, I suppose I use the studio that I thankfully have, and very blessed to have it, to have in the middle of that beautiful surroundings, you know. And yeah, so I paint as well. And to be honest, like, it, you know, the hours go by and I realize, oh my gosh, you know, it's such a connection, me time thing. You can nearly get lost in it, you know. Well, you do get lost in it. It's a very trance-like space to be in nature and paint, you know. And that process is just so fulfilling, and it keeps me sane, I think, you know, sane enough. So it's brilliant for myself, and, you know, to share that and give people that experience. That's what we really hope, you know.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, totally.
Sharing what you know gives you, you know, fulfills you, like, you know, gives giving back to other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an authentic passion. You know, what we do here has to be authentic. And that's, I believe, will make it work. You know, at the end of the day, if you're real about what you believe in, you know, then things will work through, and people will also experience that passion, hopefully, you know, alongside us, you know. That's the thing with this. And healing is the middle word, isn't it? It's
Absolutely.
all about, you know, really, it's not particularly sophisticated. It's just actually just being with ourselves, connecting with ourselves, and having that opportunity to do that. Yeah.
And
So
it's so funny though that the simplest things we forget, you know, like that. Just, you know, I think forest bathing is a new term that people use, and that's just literally just going into the forest and
that's right,
bathing in its beauty and being recharged by it, by the energy in it. And
yeah. Sure, I have the luxury of doing that every day, which
I know.
is lovely. I'm trying to avoid all the other work, you know.
Yes, all the other work. So you are the secretary. You're the secretary. I know. Well, you're the secretary of ICAT. Like, you have so much going on as well outside of your own house. Like, you know, you've taken on that role as well, and I'm sure you're kept busy with ICAT.
Yeah, well, I could be busier, but I'm trying my best.
Oh, absolutely.
And I often think, get that head out of your paint pot, will you? Do you know what I mean? You know, I need to get a bit sharper now, but we're doing our best. And again, it's that passion that drives me and that wants me to help support, you know, IACAP, because at the end of the day, it takes all of us to be passionate about this, because wow, what a process. It's a process that really is not understood fully widely and appreciated, you know, of how much it can help people, and such a wonderful way of doing that, of helping people. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I know I'm exaggerating, sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I'm actually not. I actually feel that this, you know, the arts therapies are incredible resource for people, and should be more widely kind of appreciated and used within services. And that's why I'm part of IACAP, because I try my very best to kind of promote that and support that.
It's a thing, like, you know, ICAT are, like, I say they're nearly 35 years, are they, at this stage?
I think,
About that.
yeah.
Like it's an association that like has been founded on the passions of the people that make it. And yes, no matter how many doors we've been banging on, and no matter how much research and proof we have of the work we do being so healing, we still haven't got the state recognition. So I feel quite optimistic about 2021, in the way that surely at the end of all this pandemic and the lark that comes with it, the anxieties that come with it and everything, that now is the time to kind of look at the healing and to get us all back to some kind of level of feeling well, as a community and as a country. Like, I really think we should, start looking at the creative sides of people, because if we don't use our creativity, like, Brené Brown says, it can turn into something really negative, so we can become quite toxic.
Yes. I totally agree with that, and exactly as you say, Vicky, it's really, I suppose, a powerful tool to use within ourselves, actually. It's within all of ourselves, and it's not niche. It's not, you don't have to be an artist. You don't have to be a child. You can be a child, but you can be just a human, being in contact with the things that are often lost in ourselves, that ability to kind of explore, to take risks, with ourselves, to try new things, to I suppose use the wonderful materials that we have. Sometimes it doesn't have to even be sophisticated, like could be just a pencil and paper, just to express how we are, and obviously that's often lost. The play aspect is lost in ourselves, so as you say, especially now with the COVID pandemic, it really is sharpening people's minds. What really matters, like the basic things matter. Our relationships matter. Our connections with ourselves matter. And it can get lost otherwise. And as you say, it can become really toxic if we don't explore those areas in ourselves. Yeah. So hopefully 2021.
Yeah, I know. I'm feeling very
with a lot of steam.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, like it's about connecting with others and also looking at yourself inside and connecting with yourself, like, and that can be so simple. They can just be sitting down even with a coloring book, just having some time to let everything settle after a busy day or whatever. But I suppose just thinking about like the prospects of So Earth opening up, hopefully in 2021 anyway, like that space would be open. So what do you see, like what do you see happening in 2021 for you? If you were to kind of put it in like a fantasy kind of like what would be the most ideal for you?
Wow, what question. I suppose you do look at reality when you've asked that question, but if you're going to look in a fantasy way, I suppose that everything that we hoped for, we hope that we can facilitate a space for people to get together and experience nature and experience the art processes and experience wellness from that. Now, that could be either on one level being, an experience for your own self-care, for your own wellness, and then on another level, on a clinical level, which is separate to that, of course, because it's two different components. I do dream of actually using this process, continue to use this process to help people with psychological, difficulties, whether they be mental concerns or mental illness. That's ultimately my passion at the end of the day, is, to be able to help people, I suppose, heal within inside them, and that can only be done, I think, clinically, really. At the end of the day, there's different levels of doing that, but of course, that's what I hope to provide that for people, on a group or individual level. So that's the drive for 2021.
And for me, I actually was just thinking there of like, even on a very basic level for 2021, I'm so excited to see the roots of that tree that you pulled up,
Yeah, no.
hanging up.
It's so random when you don't know anything about it, isn't it?
It's so random, but like I just want to see that. That's like literally, I just want to step into that space and see that. So maybe you'd like to tell that story, because it's such an incredible story.
Okay, well, I had this mad, crazy idea that it would be wonderful to have within SOS Studios, the building that we've just put on Hartwell, to have as a centerpiece art installation, but that was actually from nature, so rooted, excuse the pun, in nature. And yeah, to have this root suspended from the ceiling like a chandelier, so this huge root, really. We didn't want a piddly one, we wanted a proper one now. So yeah, we went and we knew that we needed to fell some trees to make room for other trees to grow. So we have a small forest area where they're quite mature trees. So we went down there and we saw a Scots pine tree that was going to be the candidate. So we took, I suppose, a lot of risks in some ways to get it down. So myself, my sons and my husband, we strapped up the tree, and it was kind of like a difficult process actually, because quite like, oh, this tree's living, but it had to come down anyway. So we were pulling it with the tractor, and it did a bit, and then because we didn't want to break the roots, we actually dug underneath the roots to ease the roots out, and eventually took 2 weeks to get it out of the ground. We got it out of the ground and very carefully put it on a trailer and brought it back, and I've been actually cleaning it for weeks as well. Put the varnish on it and all the protections on it, and it will be hung probably this week.
Oh my goodness, no way.
Yeah, I know.
Oh wow.
So I tell you, you asked me what I'm excited about in 2021. I'm really excited about standing under that root and looking up at it. Yeah, because it's going to be such a wonderful piece. And I suppose the idea of this root is, and it's the centerpiece. It's the centerpiece of where we're at. It's the root of what we're doing. Literally, and it's celebrating that. It's encircling that, being under that, and experiencing it. So yeah, that's the concept. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful concept to bring to life, because sometimes you can sit in a room and have your notepad and pen and be conceptualizing, and it just doesn't make the cut. But I think I remember Steve saying you nearly lost a tractor to it or something. You nearly, it was it was like nearly, it was such a struggle.
Well, it's an embodied experience in every way. He nearly lost himself and the tractor. But yeah, it was quite, the whole experience is wonderful, because we now have that experience in our minds. When we look at this, it's and that's the whole process, isn't it? That we're involved in the process. It means something to us. So,
and it was a risk.
Again,
it was a risk, and
it was a risk. Like, of course, like, you wouldn't want to do that. Sure, whatever. Like, you're gonna take risks in life, haven't you?
You do. And like, you mentioned earlier the risks that we take in the art therapy process, when we're a client, and it's just you have to take some risks sometimes to kind of get what you want out of it. So like your vision is so clear, and you have to take some risks along the way, but gosh, it's going to be so worth it, like, to uncover that route.
That's right. Well, and that I suppose thinking outside of the norm, is taking a risk, isn't it? It's outside of what we feel should be done, or what we feel is not the consensus. And I suppose, sometimes creativity is like that, just as you say, is to step outside and try something else, because that expands our minds and our health, so that could potentially, in a very secure atmosphere, that can potentially really help oneself grow and develop and see
Absolutely.
things differently. So
It's funny, like even you just saying that reminds me of my daughter. Like she's 3 now, and she is taking risks more than ever before. And it is just that she needs to take these risks to learn, to kind of know, where her body begins and ends, to know herself in the space. So like, she's climbing everything, and just, that climbing stage is back, she was kind of doing that, I suppose, before she could walk. So it's just interesting thinking about it and the risks that we take in developmental ways as well. And that should just keep going. Like, why do we stop taking risks? Like, it's just the fear. So it's like, you need to kind of push through that fear. And yeah.
It's a really good illustration, because exactly how we should treat life, and if we are supported, then those risks can be made possible. It's when those supports aren't there, of course, then we clam up and we find our defenses and we kind of pigeonhole ourselves. But if we're supported, wow, we can really sow, so that's the sowing, isn't it? We can face new challenges a little bit better, make better choices. So that's definitely it.
I think that's the thing. It's like, and I don't know, I suppose culture sometimes plays a role in that as well, of kind of pegging us down a little bit. But it's only then when you get to flourish, like, so especially in the arts and the creative arts, like you definitely need that. There's so much risks at the moment, even yourself, just as an artist, to give yourself the time and permission to be creative, to have the end product that you might eventually, put in a studio and maybe exhibit one day. And then that's a big risk. It's a vulnerability to put it up there on the wall. And but it
is I mean, I do find that creating art isn't, and commercially creating it, I suppose, can be stressful. But if you just remove that commercial aspect away, process itself is quite pure, and you can make mistakes and you go, okay, well, that isn't necessarily a mistake, it's something I can kind of work on, try something else, manipulate, move it around. That's what creativity is, isn't it? It's finding new places and trying two different things and making something original. So I mean, it's that process really, it's putting yourself in it, with it all. So
Oh, it's been like absolute pleasure talking with you. I feel like there's 1,000 more questions I could ask you, so I might have to have you on again.
Well, thank you, Vicky. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, like I could just sit and chat with you for hours, which we often do when we're down in the farm. It's like the day goes.
No, it's great to have that kind of reciprocal kind of understanding, and that kind of like connection. Really, really cool. Because that's what we all do, and isn't it? We're trying to connect, and it's fantastic to have the opportunities. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. So, I suppose just to kind of to find a way to end, I was thinking maybe if people were to find you as a therapist, how would they find you on the internet? And then I'd love as well, for people to find you as an artist, as in to see your work. Do you have two separate email addresses or two separate websites or?
Yeah, now this is the bit, Vicky, that I'm not very good at. Okay.
You do?
Say the least. Well, I have different things, connections that could be done. I mean, it could be linked in with, obviously with IOCAT, on IOCAT website, they have a mini website, a place where you can actually see my name and the contacts come up from there. So I have information about myself there. And then I actually have a website of my own for my art practice. So that's another forum. And then I've got Facebook and Instagram. But on the Instagram, we have the new upcoming business titled So Earth Projects. So Earth dash projects. Projects. And that then shows what we're doing now, you know, in our place right now. And yeah, so that gives a taste of that. Now that's going to be developed into a website in the next couple of weeks, so that will be, you know, up and running soon. So that will be, you know, a better space to kind of look at, I suppose, of what's going on. Yeah,
Excellent.
so
Great.
yeah.
And I'll put the links up on this as well with the podcast, so everyone can kind of click on them then. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Thank you.
Great. Well done, and I hope you get to continue with putting the roots up and getting the kind of logistics done around the business side with the website and everything in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
It's all busy, it's all go.
So busy. It will come together in the end, won't it? I mean, it's like that's the thing. You have to have faith. Have to have faith.
Absolutely. Yeah.